Welcome to this episode of the Down the Pub podcast. On this episode, we are joined by Lynne Fox and Derek Simon, who are the hosts of a brand new podcast here in the city called the Tides Pod, which is going to cover the Halifax Tides, the female professional soccer team here in Halifax, and also the broader league in Canada too. So welcome to the show, guys. Pretty excited for all this.
Thanks, Anthony.
Thanks, Anthony.
Yeah. So people who listen to the show, the very few that do, will know Derek and his opinions. But Lynne is obviously new. So Lynne, I thought it'd be a good idea for you to kind of just let us know a little bit who you are, where your love of football came from, and how you got into the Tides.
Well, I'm obviously British for all my sins. So I grew up loving soccer. I had to, otherwise I'd have been thrown out the house by the age of 5 by my dad. So I've always followed Liverpool. They've always been my home team. And then I lived in Toronto for 20 years. So I followed TFC when they first started, and the very early, in fact, before they even had a club, and they were taking $50 deposits for people's season ticket holders, and I was like, even if this is a scam, it's so worth it. And I got right in there before it even formed, and paid my $50 and got my season ticket, and been a season ticket holder ever since. But I moved to Halifax in 2019 and 2018, sorry, and it was just when the Wanderers were starting up. I'd gone down to Dirty Nelly's to pick up some tickets for a game at the Wanderers grounds before the Wanderers had formed, and there was a whole bunch of supporters in there with scarves and T-shirts, and I'm like, we don't even have a team. How do we have all these supporters already? It was fantastic. So I got in with them from the ground up as well, and became one of the board of directors. And then when the Tides came in, myself and Becky were kind of talking about it in the stands at one of the Wanderers games, saying, we have to get a supporters group together for this. It has to happen. It's going to be as big as the Wanderers. And so we got together a group of people. I think Becca brought in Derek. We just stumbled across Claire, bless her. She's fantastic. And Linda and Rod the Pyro at the Wanderers games, comes and set up all the smoke bombs at the Tides games as well. And so we've got a board of directors, we've got a supporters group, and Derek's been with you for quite a while now, and it just made complete sense that we start up our own podcast dedicated just to the Tides, the NSL, and for me, women's soccer in general. I'm interested in all sorts of aspects of it. The politics, the fun, the games, the physical capabilities of these women. That is all. I love it all. So I'm happy to chat about that and try and get some professional insight from Derek in terms of how to play better soccer on the field.
There's not too many people that can say they've been around at the formation of 3 professional teams. Like, they've kind of been there from ground zero. It's pretty cool.
Only in Canada.
Yeah.
The teams in England have been going since the 18th century.
I love it. So Derek, obviously we had our little Tides corner on the podcast, and we kind of talked in the off season about the need for the team, and it was only right that they have their own dedicated podcast. But looking back on that season, like, you've had probably more time to reflect on the season in general for the league. What has it meant to football fans here in Canada to have a professional women's league, and how you're obviously a coach and you coach girls and stuff like that. So how has it helped you in that, like, having something for them to aim for?
Yeah, I think it's been great to have a league that runs coast to coast, for starters, because I think that's really important, that you have a league that's reflective of the geography and the difference across the country. So that's been great for starters. Attendance numbers have looked pretty good across the board. So, you see some leagues where there's a big disparity in attendance, and some teams have very strong attendance and some teams have weaker attendance. And it seemed like there was fairly strong attendance across the board in the NSL in season one. So it seems like the fans coast to coast have kind of embraced it. Locally, it definitely means a lot. And one of the reasons I got involved both as a season ticket holder and as a member of the supporters group from day one is to have that field of dreams where young girls in particular can go and see young women from the local area that have gone on and played in college and and are playing professionally now in front of their hometown fans. And it was great this year that there was so many local players in the roster and that they were making regular starts and playing regularly. And I think that's a testament to kind of the soccer culture here and the strength of the women's game in Nova Scotia. And I think this is going to take it to the next level. Like whether it was at the jersey launch or going to the games regularly, you would see it's a different atmosphere than the Wanderers games. It's maybe a little more family oriented. In a sense, you see a lot more young people there with their families, and I see a lot of the players that I coach or coach against or know that are involved in youth soccer locally coming out to watch those games, and then down at field level after the game getting autographs from the players, talking to the players, getting advice from the players. And that's so important in terms of the development of the game locally, is that young players in this area have something to aspire to and can see heroes on the field that have played for local clubs and gone on to make it into the league. So
I love it. So then obviously, you found the club was starting and stuff like that, and then there's always the build up and you're starting your songbooks and all that kind of stuff. But how's that inaugural game for you? Because me and Derek have talked about it because I was there for it too. How's it for you? And maybe give us a few of your highlights. There's no point in going through the lowlights because Derek's done them all. But if you want to give us some of your highlights through the season, that'd be awesome.
It's interesting that Derek talks about the young players up and coming and being able to see the women on the field and aspire to that. When I grew up playing soccer, there wasn't even that opportunity. At university, as far as I was aware, there was no soccer teams. I played on the playground at lunchtime with the boys if they let me, and that was it. My only experience with soccer, as much as I love playing it, and I have played it all my life, is just playing with my big brothers or boys on a local field. So having for all whenever we went to all of the events that were happening, I actually teared up a lot, because it's not even that they have this to aspire to, it's that it's actually possible. It's that it's happening, and it's way too late in the game, but it's happening. And it's there's people like me who didn't even have this opportunity, and I maybe I could have been professional, maybe I couldn't have, I don't know, we'll never know. But if I could have played soccer professionally, I would have, for sure. That was one of the constant things in my life that I've always enjoyed. So watching professional women's soccer live was, I don't expect you to understand it as a guy. I really, and I don't mean that in any condescending way. It's just, I don't think anyone could understand it unless they've actually been in that situation where you are now watching professional women play football. They're actually getting paid to play, and a good wage. Their wages are actually competitive with the US. I think they're actually on more than the Wanderers, which is fantastic. I love that for them, But yeah, watching them on the field and just seeing how hard they play. Like, even though we didn't do very well last season, every game I always felt that they came out fighting and they went down fighting, and it never ever felt like they'd given up. They just tried harder the next time. I just found that phenomenal. It was such a testament to how hard they want this and how much they love it. I thought they were fantastic. Despite Derek can talk about all of those he likes, I thoroughly enjoyed every single game. And maybe the beers helped, maybe they didn't. I just loved it. I loved all of it, and I will continue to go regardless of what the score is. I would rather lose with the Tides than win with anybody else.
I think a big part of, when you're a player, I can only imagine, because obviously we've never played professionally, but three or four nil down, which has kind of happened a couple of times this season. It's pissing rain or whatever, and then you look over to the stands and there's thousands of people still.
Yeah, there's some idiot in a sou'wester hat singing their heads off.
Exactly. Just pushing it along and just willing you on just to score a goal. It's and I think that's one of the great things about Halifax is that we've had a men's professional team, and there's been a lot of lows on that one too. And apart from grouchy old men like me, for the most part, everything's kind of been very positive. You know what I mean? And I think that it's a big part of the makeup of the city that we're like, it makes us feel like we're a big city to have this here. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, and
it is a different game. Derek talked before about the stands, the atmosphere in the stands. To me, it's not even that it's more family orientated. It's that there's no aspirations to be like a hooligan or to try and be some, equivalent to some European fans. They want to be hardcore on the Wanderers games, and they're missing the point, And I find in the Tides, we're just there to support, and that's it, and watch some soccer. And there's no aspirations to be any more than just a good fan. And that really comes across, I think, in the atmosphere in the stands. That's one of the things I love about it.
So like, I just kind of want to get your thoughts. Like, Derek we were just talking before we came on about Derek had some positive reaction from the club that we're setting, like you guys are setting this up. How is your relationship as fans with the club? Like, I think that's a big part of making this thing work. How's the club been in relation to like reaching out to fans and including news and what's going on and things like that?
It's funny, myself and Claire, one of the other directors, are in a supporters group for the NSL. So it's like a couple of supporters from each of the clubs. And we often have meetings, and they talk about, the club's done this, the club's done that. And, the little gripes they have. And we've met with, we've met with Diana, and we've chatted with everybody. And it always comes down to, so how are you, and how's it going with you and Claire, Lynne? And it's like, well, I don't really think we should be having this conversation because we have no problems at all. The club have been nothing but fantastic, I think. We're on personal, first name terms with everybody, and everyone always says hi when they walk around the grounds. They're always the first to respond whenever we need something for gifts or prizes, or we're the ones who are picking the player of the game. They're actually messaging us to say who should we pick, and we're like, we should be this person or that person. And honestly, I hadn't even watched the game, so I just generally ask Claire and her friends. I'm generally a few beers in, and I've just been singing, so I don't even know what score it is.
So Derek, for you, just getting back to the podcast, what are your hopes and aspirations for the podcast, and what it's going to bring to the club and to the fans?
Well, I think for one thing, it's a chance for more people to get to know the players as people. So, I mean, you have one of the great things about football at this level and football at this level in Halifax is you do, whether it's Wanderers or Tides, you do get to know the players on a personal level particularly if you're going to the games regularly and you hang around afterwards to have a bit of interaction at the end of the pitch. But not everyone gets that chance, right? And so it's a chance to get some player interviews out there, get to know them a bit more as people, get to know a bit about their journey, how they came to Halifax, because there's some very interesting stories there. You've got everyone from local players that had come straight out of college, like Annika Leslie, who joined the team partway through the season last year, and then you've got people like Tiff Cameron who are veterans and have played all over the world and have fascinating stories about the different places they played. And just being able to share more of those stories with more people, I think, is like a really big thing I'm excited about. And again, that's great for fans at all age levels, but also like I'm fascinated to talk to the players about what is their advice for young players that are coming up in the city, and who are thinking about moving on to play in university or college or to play professionally. What advice do they have? What guidance can they give? And there's so much benefit in that too. So I mean, we've obviously been able to do in our Tides Corner on Down the Pub, we've been able to do the match reviews, and we'll continue to do that probably in an expanded way on this podcast. But I think where we're going to get to do a deeper dive on stuff is the interviews and talking to players, talking to some of the people that work for the club and about what they do and what they're bringing to the table, because they all have really interesting journeys to share. So looking forward to that part.
I was going to say, I'm actually looking forward to finding out more about the background operation of the club as well, talking to all the people in the background and just how things work. Like how are they, how do players get informed? How are they, do they have to come for an interview? Do they have to try out? Are they sending in YouTube videos?
It is, and it is kind of, it's really interesting. Obviously myself, just from doing Down the Pub, and you kind of, it's always been a fascinating part of, and I did it a lot more during COVID because people had time and there was like they weren't playing or they were just doing home training and stuff like that. Just kind of get to learn their story, and I think that's, you see on Instagram and whatever, you see like the player announcement, and you kind of get like a little snapshot of the background. But as Derek, as you were saying, like you don't know the full journey until you actually sit and have half an hour, 45 minutes, or whatever it is to get to know them. And I think for me, like obviously I'll be a listener. It's going to be really interesting to learn, because I've kind of learned or understood a tiny little bit of what the men do, but as you said, it's a totally different game, and they've the different hurdles you need to get through to become a professional. So it's going to be really interesting to hear the dynamics of it compared to how the men go through, and I think it's going to be very interesting. So who you guys got lined up for? We have we're going to have a first episode pretty soon. So who have you guys got lined up for that?
Well, I think I mentioned her name earlier, but Annika Leslie, who is a local player, grew up here in Halifax, played for City, I believe, and then went on to college in the U.S., played in the NCAA for Western Virginia, and then completed her degree and came back. Once she finished her degree last year, came and joined the team. So she was one of the local signings. She's back this year, was really a standout player with the team last year. So interested to talk to her about her journey and how she got to where she is today and what it's like to play professionally in your hometown, right?
Amazing. So, Derek, what were the handles for the show? Like, where can people follow the show on social media?
Well, we've got presence on Facebook, Instagram, and Blue Sky, and I think it's on Facebook. It's just the Tides Pod, so you can look it up on Facebook, and that should come up. On Blue Sky, it is. Of course, I don't have that handy.
You had one job, Derek.
Well, you could have told me ahead of time.
The first one to show up.
You're, like this is disgraceful. Like it's.
Well, I don't know why we made me the social media manager. On Instagram, we are at the Tides Pod,
Mm-hmm.
and on Blue Sky, I'm still trying to find Blue Sky because Blue Sky handles are so weird.
So yeah, but don't worry, I'll put it into the in the description of the episode because Derek's you're the social media manager for this, which is kind of scary, Derek, to be perfectly honest. So.
It is truly frightening. I was only ever really good at Twitter, and now that Twitter has become a cesspool, I don't really understand other social media. So,
okay,
really the worst possible person to take on.
Amazing. One of my skills has always been my ability to assign the right job to the right person. So I'm glad I'm still keeping my record going strong. But yeah, it's been really great, like kind of learning what we're going to do with the podcast. I think it's going to be a great thing for the league, and I think a great thing for the club, and I'm really hoping that it kind of inspires more throughout. I think you always need to kind of have somebody just kind of stick their head above the parapet a little bit, and I think it's going to help push things along. So yeah, congrats guys. It's going to be pretty. Can't wait to see I hate it's at work they use this phrase a lot. The journey. I hate it, but it is what it's going to be, right? Because we're starting from scratch and.
You a tour guide?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. Not there because he'd get us lost. So
I'm an excellent tour guide. I'll have you know. I'm just a lousy social media man.
So yeah, the podcast is going to be available on all the big platforms. We triumphantly got put onto Apple Podcasts pretty quickly, which was insanely good, which I'm pretty excited about. So yeah, super excited to hear the first episode, guys. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot, Andy.
Yeah.
Folks, please. Right foot, please. Time to drink up, folks. Get out. Out to book.